Expanding algebraic expressions with grouping symbols. When we expand algebraic terms, we have the first one, a, which is 3 outside of x plus 4. When the 3 and the bracket are touching each other, what that really means is 3 times everything in the brackets. We're going to go 3 times x and 3 times 4. 3 times x is 3x and 3 times 4 is 12. So we write plus 12 down. The next one, 4 outside of 2a plus 7 means 4 times 2a and 4 times 7. 4 times 2a is 8a and 4 times 7 is 28. 5x outside of 3 is 5x times 3, which gives us 15x. And 5x outside of minus 2x is 5x times minus 2x, which gives us minus 10x squared. There's a negative outside the brackets, so it means minus 3 times everything inside the bracket. What that is going to result in, I'll talk about in a moment. So we'll do it, and then we'll see what's happened, okay? So it means minus 3 times x and minus 3 times positive 5. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x, and minus 3 times plus 5, 3 times 5 is 15, and a minus times a positive is minus 15. If you can do it in your head, then do that, but it's also good to check on the calculator when we're dealing with negative numbers, just to make sure we don't make a mistake. Okay, the next one, minus 5 times 4 and minus 5 times minus 2y. So minus 5 times 4 is minus 20. And minus 5 times minus 2y, so minus 5 times minus 2 is plus 10, and y on the end. Now what I wanted to point out was that in the first question you've got a minus here, and this is a positive term, the 5, and the x is also a positive term. What that has done is it's changed the sign. So the x, when multiplied by the minus 3, negative 3, and the 5, which is positive when times by a minus sign, became a minus. So it's changed the signs of those things inside the bracket. So they've both started off positive, and then they went to become negative. On the next question, the 4 is positive. When we times it by a negative number, it changed to a negative. And the 2y is negative, and when times by a negative number, it became a positive. So that minus on the outside will change the sign of the terms on the inside. So that's just a little trick that you can remember, just to make it easier. Okay, A, we have minus outside of x minus 3. Minus is the same as minus 1. So here we have that invisible 1 again, but you can't see it, but it's there, okay? So it's minus 1 times x and minus 1 times minus 3. So minus 1 times x is minus 1x, which we can write as minus x. And minus 1 times minus 3 is plus 3. So once again, it's changed the sign of the terms inside the bracket. So that was an x, and by putting the minus out there, it just became a minus x. We had a minus 3, and the minus made it a plus 3. So we'll do this one without writing the 1 down. So the minus outside the bracket is going to make the 6 inside minus 6. The minus on the outside of the bracket is going to make the y minus y. Okay, so we're just changing the terms because it's like times in by minus 1, which will just... Okay, so we've got C. The minus 3y times 5y. Now that 5y is positive. That minus is going to turn it into a negative answer. So then we go 3 times 5 to get 15. And y times y becomes y squared. The x is a negative x. The minus out the front is going to make that into a plus. Okay, so we've got 3y times x. It's 3yx. So what I've done is I've dealt with the minus out the front first by changing the terms, the sign of the terms on the inside. Then I've just times them out. So they're getting a little bit trickier here. So we're starting to get a little bit harder, but what I can tell you is that when you get to your HSC, they're always going to put the hard ones in. They're not going to put the first few examples in. That's just for you to understand it. They're going to have ones like this and the next few examples. And I will, at the end of this topic, put some HSC style questions in for you to practice so you know what you're going to be up against. Okay, with this question, you need to be really careful because the 5 is not what we're timesing by in example A. We're actually timesing by the minus, which is like -1, remember? It's whatever's right next to the bracket is what we're multiplying by. The term in front, we're simply going to add it onto our answer. So the first thing we do is just write that 5 down. We're going to use that in a moment. So now we're going to times by -1 each of the terms. Remember that minus out the front is going to change the sign of those terms inside. So the 3 is going to become a -3, and the 4x is going to become a plus 4x. So now we're going to collect our like terms. Now our like terms here are our 5 and our 3. So 5 take away 3 is 2 plus 4x. Okay, remembering you can only add like terms. A common mistake is some students want to put together everything and just have a single term as their answer. So some students will try and make that a 6x because they'll add the 6, the 2 and the 4 together. Okay. So the next one, we're timesing by the 3 because that's the thing directly outside of the bracket. The 2x we just write down. So I'll put a little arrow on the 5 so you remember later. So we just write the 2x down. We're not doing anything with that just yet. Then we go 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times -5 is -15. This is where we now add our like terms, remembering the like terms have exact same prime numerals. So we have 2x plus 3x is 5x minus 15. Okay, so these are extension questions, but in saying that, they're not really extension because they will be the types of questions you'll come across in the HSC. If you are just doing General 1 Maths next year, then, and you know that for sure, you can skip these, but just in case it's worth doing. So what we're doing with these, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to expand each set of brackets out, and then we're going to collect like terms. So we can just like put a little line down here just to separate it so that we know that they're two separate things that are going to come together later. So we've got the 4 times x and 4 times 6. So 4x plus 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so now we've got 3 times 5 and 3 times minus x. 3 times 5 is 15. Now that's a positive 15, so you need to write down a plus. So don't automatically write down the plus there, because if it is a negative, it's going to change. It depends on what's inside the brackets, okay? So you've got plus 15, and then 3 times minus x is minus 3x. Okay, time to collect our like terms. We've got here, let's just give it a different colour. We've got 4x and minus 3. Okay, we've got also 24 and 15 are also like terms. So we've got 4 take away 3x. 4 take away 3 is 1. So we have 1x. Remember that 1 is invisible, so we just write down an x. And then we have 24 plus 15. So 24 plus 10 is 34, plus another 5 is 39. So that came down to a really simple answer. Okay, the next one. We can break it down here. We're going to do the x times 3 and the x times minus x. So x times 3 is 3x. X times minus x is minus x squared. We're now going to do 3 times 4 and 3 times minus 3x. So, sorry, minus 3 times 4 is minus 12. Notice it changed the sign of the 4 to a negative. And minus 3 times minus 3x is plus 9x. So the negative there changed as well. Now it's time to collect our like terms here. So the only like terms here are the 3x and the 9x. you can write this out a few different ways. We can put the minus x squared first. So sometimes we write the 1 down first with the highest power. It's up to you how you want to write it. You're going to be right either way. And 3 plus 9 is 12, so plus 12x minus 12. Example 6. This one's a little bit complex. We've got 2x squared times 7, which gives us 14x squared. We have 2x squared times minus x, that gives us minus 2x cubed. Then x times x is x squared, and x times 1 is minus 1x, or just minus x. We now need to add our like terms together. We're going to start with the highest power, which is minus 2x cubed, and then we're going to add the like terms together. So we've got 14x squared and x squared here. So that's like 1x squared. So that gives us 15x squared, and we've got minus x on the end. B. Okay, so we've got 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x squared times minus 5 is minus 15x squared. This is where you'll come into mistakes timesing a negative out the front. Minus x times 3x is minus 3x squared, and minus x times minus 4 is plus 4x. Now, collecting the like terms, we're going to write the 3x cubed first. It's got the highest power. Then we're going to go minus 15x squared minus 3x squared is minus 18x squared. Often that'll be somewhere that students get it wrong. They might give you an answer like minus 12x squared because they've taken the 3 from the 15 and writing plus 4x down. Now they're a little bit more complicated, but taking it step by step, you shouldn't have any problems. So that's a lot to digest in one video. So play a bit,